All right, you're very welcome back. Now, Off the Ball has again teamed up with the Irish Blood Transfusion Service and supporting its World Blood Donor Day. And we're teaming up with the Irish Blood Transfusion Service to help get people out there and just tell them how important this actually is. Because 1 in 4 of us is going to need a transfusion in our lifetime. That might be you, it could be someone in your family, it could be one of your mates. All the blood used in Irish hospitals comes from Irish resident donors. So, obviously, the IBTS needs 3,000 units donated every week just to keep up with demand. It's a huge amount, and it means that if you are eligible to donate blood, then today's a really good opportunity for you just to remind yourself that it's a good thing to do for you and for your family. At the moment, over 1,000 Irish people receive transfusions every week in Ireland. You can check your own eligibility to donate and find your nearest clinic just by visiting giveblood.ie, and you can also search for giveblood.ie on social media and by using the hashtag EveryOneCounts. That's all spelled out, so every and the word one, O-N-E, counts. And I'm delighted to say Niall Kearns is with us to help us promote this. Niall, this is a very personal story to you, and it's one that I'm sure quite a lot of people don't really know about your history. People are familiar with you as a very successful inter-county Gaelic footballer, but you are somebody who has had a blood transfusion in your life in the very recent past.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Yeah, I had to go under the knife there about 6-7 months ago, so I was very glad of the blood that was there, and all the donations that was made over the years. I suppose people don't realise what's around the corner. You never really know when you might need it next. So, yeah.
I presume it's not actually even something you think about when you're going in to get surgery. You just kind of assume that it's going to be fine, that there's going to be plenty of blood. So when you hear the stats that there are so many litres of blood needed every week from Irish people, like, I must give you a little pause to think, geez, I'm actually a little bit lucky that somebody took the time to go to their local clinic, give blood, and that facilitated my ability to get well and to have the surgery.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the figures there it's mental. Like, the people, you could never give enough. It's just something that needs to be done, and people should think about doing it more often. People need to go to clinics to see if they can, because certainly some people aren't able to give, but you should definitely think about going and contributing as much as you can to help other people. You might know a family member or someone you know. So yeah, so I think it's such a good cause to go and donate and help other people as well.
Now, tell us a little bit about your own story, because you had a kind of long-standing problem from the time you were a teenager. Eventually, it necessitated surgery. When did you first realise that there was a cardiac issue?
So it was only picked up probably when I was 16. At that point, I was referred to Crumlin Hospital up until the age of 18. So in Crumlin, they were just monitoring it so that it wouldn't get. I was on medication to keep the valve safe and protect it. But I was then transferred over to the Mater Hospital in Dublin, and they monitored it for another 2 years until it started getting bigger and bigger. And they were just keeping an eye on it so that it wouldn't exceed the value that needed to be operated on. And then once it got over that point, it had to operate then.
You had a leaky valve, so basically there's a hole in a valve in your heart. And when you're 16, obviously you're going to Crumlin for a reason. There's kind of just a sense of pain, or is it shortness of breath? How did you actually end up noticing it? What was the kind of the first symptoms that made you and your family think, actually, you know what, this isn't right?
The first time that I got it, it was something so simple. I bent down to get a charger, and at that point I just found something in my chest. So then that evening, myself and Mum decided to go to Cavan Hospital, and it was then they picked it up and transferred from there over to Crumlin. So I was in hospital in Cavan for 2 or 3 days just to see what the problem was, and then from there I was transferred on up to Crumlin, where they found out that it was a more serious matter than what was expected. And
at 16, are you taking all that in? Are you kind of conscious enough that actually this is quite a serious thing? Are you calm enough about it because everybody else is calm around you? What's your memory of that?
I'd generally be a more calm person. Nothing too much would stress me out. But at the time, I didn't really think probably too much about it. It was more Mum and Dad was thinking a bit more of it. So yeah, no, it was only until recently that you think more about it, and you're like, God, it was probably a more serious situation than I was making it out to be, or thinking that it was.
Yeah, I'd say your parents were pretty scared on your behalf, even if you weren't. So the other thing that's like very important in all this is obviously, so you're an inter-county footballer now, but you're not born a 20-year-old under-20s inter-county footballer. You've been playing football the whole way along and getting good at it. So obviously you're unbelievably healthy and fit as a 16-year-old, but presumably too, when you're getting diagnosed with a leaky valve in your heart, you're like, well, I need to go and play football because that's what I do. That's the thing that I do that I really enjoy the most. So what happened there? Did they tell you to stop playing football? Was there any chance of that?
There was a period there when it was first diagnosed that I was told to just relax back a wee bit. So that lasted for such a while, and then I got the go-ahead to go on and be able to play again. So I was delighted to hear that, obviously, but you just have to relax a wee bit until the doctors and surgeons or whoever was over it tell you or give you the go-ahead. And
when you get that go-ahead, is that a big thing for you? Do you have a slightly different attitude because it might have been taken away from you? Does it help you knuckle down to make sure that you are going to be one of those players who is an important member of whatever team you're playing on, for the county team, for the club team, whatever? Or did you were you able to separate these two things and go ahead as if you were just still a happy-go-lucky teenager playing football?
Yeah, I probably didn't think too much about it. I probably didn't think that it was such a serious case or whatever. So I just got about it, went on about life. You can't really think about these things too much. Well, I suppose you should, but at the time, I was 16, I didn't really think much of it. But once I got the go-ahead, I was happy enough to get back at it and keep going on from there.
When you said
they were just monitoring it, so I had full faith in them that they knew what they were doing and they were able to make the right call.
When you said you were you bent down to pick up the charger, was it a pain in your chest? Is that what kind of signified to you that something was wrong?
Yeah. So it was a shooting pain that just came across the whole top of my chest. And it was just at that point that Mum was like, we probably should go over and get that looked at.
And so when they obviously don't fix it straight away, they say, look, this is serious, but not so serious that it's going to be life-limiting in any long-term way, but we will keep an eye on it in case the leak widens. That's not really fixing the issue. That you'll still have these pains. So how does that pain? How do you manage that pain throughout the 16 to 18 to 20 until the surgery actually happens?
Well, it wasn't a constant pain either. It was just something that would come and go. So I wasn't dealing with it every day. It could have been 2 weeks, 3 weeks before I'd get the next pain. So the pains would last maybe 10, 15 seconds and then go. Might last a minute. It's just came in different periods, and you just sort of had a way of dealing with it and then getting over it. So
pretty scary, I'd say.
Yeah, but at that age, I'm easy enough going, so and then things wouldn't really bother me at all.
And throughout all this time, you're making the team at under 20s, and obviously you're being looked at by the senior management team. Are you having conversations with the senior management team and saying, look, you should know about this thing that's in the background here, or did everybody know anyway, and so it wasn't something you kind of needed to address?
People sort of knew at the time that I was going and seeing the hospital, but the time I went in, the doctor there, I let him know and the management know, so then they were able to work with me and be able to show me the right things to do. So it was good having the doctor there full time, and he looked after me well.
And so when you go into the senior team, did they manage your load a little bit, and take cognizance of the fact that this is something that you will eventually have to deal with, or are they like, look, you either train with us the way everybody else trains, or we'll just wait until you're ready to go? How did that conversation come about?
No, definitely not. Malachy was very good. He gave me whatever time I needed. He made sure that I was well and able to play. So, no, he definitely gave me the time that I needed and whatever treatment that I needed, first and foremost. And the physios and doctors there kept me alongside. So they were monitoring it the whole time. So I was in safe hands. That
must have been a little bit frustrating for you too as well, because obviously you just arrived into the panel and you want to break into the team and you want to do what everybody else is doing, but obviously this is in the background. Like, was there any sense from your own that you wanted to get this dealt with quickly, because you just want to make sure that you're ready to go and that it isn't going to interfere with your inter-county career?
Yeah, I suppose the time that I got the surgery done was the off season as such, but I really wanted to finish out last year, so I kind of postponed the surgery as such to be able to play the whole year, and the surgeons was happy enough that I was able to do that too. So I was happy enough to get the whole thing done on the off season as such.
Yeah, I mean, that's sensational. I didn't realise, because for people who are unaware, you had an amazing year last year, broke into the team, nailed down a midfield slot, end up as an all-star nominee. So while all the time you knew, obviously, in the background that there was surgery coming down the tracks, that's pretty impressive, splitting the screen in your head going, I'm going to focus on this, but at the same time, I'm just going to make sure that that's in the background there. I guess you wouldn't take back a second to last season. It was an amazing year for you.
No, definitely not. It was a great season to be able to come in and go so far. And I just didn't really want anything. At the time, first and foremost, was the football. And because I knew down the line that I would have been getting the surgery after the whole thing had finished. So, no, I was happy enough to crack on with the football at that time, and I sort of had to let that go to the back of my head until the time came round.
Yeah, it all worked out quite well for you in the football front. In terms of the surgery then, it's open heart surgery, it's 6 to 7 hours, it's fairly physical. The aftermath of it, the toll on your body, is something that I think a lot of people probably don't understand. And then in the midst of all that, you're getting blood transfusions as well. So what do you remember about the build-up to the surgery and just how tense you might have been yourself, and the aftermath? Can you talk us through a little bit of that?
Well, I suppose I planned on getting it done on it was the 5th of November, so it was a Friday evening when they called me in. You only get a phone call a few days beforehand because they weren't sure whether they were able to take you or not with emergencies and stuff like that. So I was called in on the 5th of November, and I was to go on the Monday, but when I was preparing to go down for surgery, 2 emergencies came in that night before for transplants. So they obviously were in more need than I was. So they had to be dealt with. So I was sent home, and I was called back the week later. And it was I was called in on the Saturday and went for it on the Monday morning. But I suppose the first time really showed me what it was going to be like. So the second time wasn't as nervous. I think Mum and my sister was more nervous than I was. So no, it wasn't the worst experience. But after the whole thing, it fairly took its toll for a while. But each week got stronger and stronger, and. Yeah, thank God for that.
And how long is a recovery from something like that? Because I think it was, am I right in saying 6.5 or 7 hours of open heart surgery, and so there's just a weakness afterwards. You can't. You're obviously doing inter-county football training, so you're at the elite level in Gaelic sport, and then all of a sudden afterwards, it's like, no, you can't do anything for ages.
Yeah, I suppose me being healthy and young and fit definitely stood to me. You're just able to recover, and you're willing to recover a lot more quicker. Your body's just able to cope with that a wee bit more pain, and that willingness to get back. So you sort of keep trying to push yourself to get back and get going again.
And how soon afterwards were you able to just do normal things and think about kicking the ball again and think about going back training?
It was probably a month and a half later. I went back to the training ground just to get out with the boys, and they were training away, and I was just walking about, and that I felt good then because I knew that I was able to come back soon enough. Well, soon enough as in 6 months, but it was a slow process at the same time. Like, I was bored out of my mind watching boys going, and me not being able to train is just hard to watch too.
And when did you feel normal again?
Probably it's probably three months after it. Not normal. There was still pains, and you'd still get an itching pain there now, but that's all muscular now. But probably around 3 months, I felt strong again, able to do a bit more than I was a month and a half.
And so that's interesting. Obviously, we didn't talk about that, but they try to keep your own valve to make sure that there's as little change to the integrity of your heart pre and post surgery. But you actually needed a valve put in. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. First of all, they said that they were going to try and keep my own valve fix it, but the way that it was fitting back in, it just didn't work out, so they ended up having to put another valve in. So it was good that it worked and everything went well. And
do you feel now that you're back to the same dynamism that you had this time 12 months ago?
Probably not. I've still another while to go yet to try and get back up to that level. The surgeons even said that you mightn't get back up to that level for a good while, because I've never really, touch wood, I'd never injury or been out of football for that long, so it's something that I wouldn't be used to or wouldn't have thought about. Just in terms of, but they do think you will be able to. It's just a question of when, as opposed to not if. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just about time really, and how much you're willing to go. Well, look, we wish you all the best with the recovery, and really hope that you do get back to your dynamic best and to being at the level that made you an all-star nominee. One final thing, if you had a message for anybody who is wavering about giving blood or giving donating blood, like you needed that transfusion, you wouldn't have been able to have that surgery if you hadn't had it. Yeah, no, definitely. Just, you never know what's around the corner. I never realised that I had that problem, so it's such a good cause, and more than likely, in some point in your life or your family member's life, you might need something that could help you get back on the road to recovery. No, best of luck with everything. Thanks a million for joining us today. Lovely, thanks a million. That's Niall Kearns there, the Monaghan footballer, and as you've heard, somebody who definitely needed a blood transfusion. A reminder that we've teamed up with the Irish Blood Transfusion Service to support World Blood Donor Day. 1 in 4 of us are going to need a transfusion in our lifetime, so that means you or someone in your family or one of your mates. All the blood used in Irish hospitals comes from Irish resident donors, so IBTS needs 3,000 units donated every single week just to keep up with demand. At the moment, over 1,000 people receive transfusions every week in Ireland. You can check your eligibility to donate, and you can find your nearest clinic by visiting giveblood.ie, and you can also search for giveblood.ie on social channels and by using the hashtag EveryOneCounts. A remarkable story there, and we wish him all the best with his recovery. If you want to get in touch with us by text this evening, 53106 is the number, or as ever, you can hit us up on Twitter. We're at Off The Ball.